I woke up in darkness, surrounded by silence. So where have I gone?
So here we have Zacchaeus is coming down out of the sycamore tree, and Jesus is going with him to his house to spend time and hang around with him. And other people who are witnessing this event, instead of being happy that, hey, here's this man who's experiencing this transformation, here's this guy whose heart is being changed in front of our very eyes. The Son of Man is changing this man's life, and his destiny is changing right before us. Instead of experiencing joy over salvation that's happening in the life of Zacchaeus, people instead turn it around and start to murmur and start to complain and start to grumble against Zacchaeus, but more against Jesus. And some of the Pharisees, it doesn't specifically say Pharisees were there, but we know from other verses, this is the same exact language that the Pharisees used in a different place, to say, oh, this man is so holy, yet he goes and spends time with sinners. And then another time Jesus said, yeah, but those who are healthy don't need a doctor. I have not come to call the righteous, but the sinner to repentance. So Jesus goes to be with this man in the midst of other people, antagonizing him and grumbling and murmuring. But I love the fact that it didn't deter Jesus from going to be with this man who truly, truly, truly had experienced a change in heart and a change in his life through meeting the Son of Man, the Son of God, in one short experience. And Jesus, I'm so glad, calls himself a friend of sinners.
You shatter my darkness, wash away my blindness.
So as Jesus is at Zacchaeus' house, it was probably a big room, and they were probably all lounging around. They didn't have comfy furniture. They were all typically laying down, lounging around, and Jesus is hanging around with Zacchaeus and Zacchaeus' friends. All the disciples are there, and through just hanging around with Jesus, he comes to this revelation, and he has this change of heart, and he stands up, and he says, Lord, if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore unto him fourfold. Now, according to Old Testament law, and he was probably familiar with it, being a young Jewish boy raised in a synagogue most likely, Zacchaeus, by law, was supposed to restore to somebody 20%. So if I had stolen $1,000 from somebody, say, or taken $1,000 by false accusation, as Zacchaeus said he did, technically, according to the law, he would have to restore to that man $1,200, 20%. But here he says, if I have taken anything by false accusation, which he knows he has, he says, I will restore 4 times as much. So I'm not just going to give that man $1,000, $1,200. I will restore and give him $4,000. He exceeded what the law said he should do because grace is so much better than the law. So he also says, Lord, I'm going to give half of my goods to the poor. We know he was a chief tax collector. It says it in one of those earlier verses. We know he was very wealthy. It says that in one of those other verses. And now here he is with such a change of heart after meeting the Son of God that his heart is touched and he's moved with generosity. And Jesus has a way of taking hard hearts and turning them soft, and taking somebody who used to steal money and turning them into a generous person. And Zacchaeus says, I'm going to give half of my goods to the poor. So that day he decides that though he is rich, though he is wealthy, he's going to take all that he possesses, all that he has, and he's going to give half of it to the poor. That is a tremendous sum of money. Even though it was 2,000 years ago, that was a tremendous sum of money. Imagine today somebody wealthy, somebody like a Bill Gates or somebody with a lot of money saying, you know what, I'm going to give half of my money to the poor today. Imagine one of the Buffalo Bills or one of the professional football players saying, today I'm going to give not just half of my yearly salary, not just half of my earnings for this year, I'm going to give half of all my goods, half of all the things that I possess, and I'm going to give it to the poor. This man Zacchaeus truly showed the fruit of somebody whose heart and life had been touched and forever changed by the Son of God. So after Zacchaeus declares that he's going to give half of his goods to the poor and restore it to him who he stole from, fourfold what he took, Jesus says that today salvation has come to this house, for Zacchaeus is a son of Abraham. Now, here is Jesus passing through this place place of low spiritual, just a spiritually destitute area in Jericho. And yet this man's spiritual hunger causes Jesus, who was probably just planning on passing through, to stop. And not just stop, but spend the day and spend time with Zacchaeus. And he says, salvation has come this day to this house, for this man is also a child or a son of Abraham. And I can imagine the disdain of the others who are hearing about how salvation has come. How could salvation come to this man? I can hear the people in the background murmuring and still complaining and saying, how could this man, Zacchaeus, who stole from us, who gives money to the Romans, who is dishonest and not trustworthy, how could this man, Jesus, say that Zacchaeus has been forgiven and has received salvation? But you know what? It doesn't take a huge encounter with Jesus to make a change. You know, Jesus has the power to change somebody through just one touch, just one incident, just one encounter has the ability to change a man's heart, because he truly is the Son of God and has the ability to save a man's soul and change a man from the inside out. And so Jesus goes on to say that salvation has come, and the Son of Man, he said, has come to seek and to save that which was lost. Now here's Zacchaeus, again, a rich man who has all things that he possibly could want, yet he's empty on the inside. And Jesus said he's come to seek and to save that which was lost. So Zacchaeus represents a person who is totally lost in a place of spiritual destitution, in a place of Jericho. Even though on the outward it might appear that he's got everything, on the inside he's got nothing. On the outside he's rich, on the inside he's completely poor and destitute and filled with poverty. But he meets Jesus and he goes from being lost to being found, because Jesus said that he came to seek and to save that which was lost. And as Jesus is passing through Jericho, even if it was just for Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus went from being lost to being found, all through one short encounter, one day with the Son of God.